The word assembly is defined as a group of people gathered together in one place for a common purpose. The first time that the church is mentioned in the New Testament of our Bibles is in Matthew chapter 16:18, where Jesus said, "Upon this rock I will build my church." The church there in the original language of the Greek is the word ecclesia, which being defined is the assembly of called out ones. Strong's Exhaustive Concordance in the original language tells you in no uncertain terms that you cannot be a church without assembly. The past 2.5 years have been about the right to assemble. Now, scripturally, we want to go back through the word of the Lord in Psalm 35:18, where the word of the Lord reads, "I will give thee thanks in the great congregation. I will praise thee among much people." The assembly. Psalm chapter 122 and verse 1, David said, "I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord." This was a psalm of ascent. As the worshipers came up into the city of Jerusalem, every time they would ascend up a step into Solomon's temple, the songs of ascent, Psalm 122 was one of them. They were overcome with joy and gladness of heart, and saying, "I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord." You can only appreciate things by way of comparison. David, from the time of Genesis chapter 38, because of the shame of Judah, Tamar, and their 2 sons, the Bible tells us in Deuteronomy 25:1 that of the 3 individuals that could not enter into the congregation, a bastard was one. For 10 generations, they were forbidden access, denied entry into the house of God. So David, of course, was this 10th generational praiser. His daddy Jesse could not go into the house of the Lord. His granddaddy Obed, his great-grandfather Boaz, and Ruth could not go into the house of God. Up on into Genesis, the 38th chapter. Into the house of God. Let's go with 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 15. "But if I tarry long, that thou mayest know how thou oughtest to behave thyself in the house of God, which is the church of the living God." The house of God is the church, a literal physical place where we assemble together, a group of people who are gathered together in one place for a common purpose. Assembly. Hebrews 10:25, but if the word of the Lord reads, "not forsaking the assembling." And here, if you were to go back again into Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, which is a book about 4 inches thick, 12 inches wide, 10 inches in diameter, it would tell you that that word, "not forsaking the assembling," the original definition would be the word synagoguing or tabernacling. Synagoguing. Synagogue is a literal place, a physical edifice erected so that congregants can come together. You can't be a church without assembly. David again said in Psalm 23, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In Psalm 27:4, one thing have I desired of the Lord, and that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. That's a structure. In the secret place of his tabernacle. That's a structure. So the church building. The First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States clearly says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. We have two clauses about how you cannot abridge free speech and how you cannot restrict the press. And then it sums it up. It sums up the First Amendment by stating the right of the people to peaceably assemble. And then you have a right to petition your government for a redress of grievances. The right of the people to peaceably assemble. The Constitution of the United States does not give us the right to assemble. It protects our right to assemble. So I want to encourage you today to assemble in the house of God. That is more than a benefit. It is a duty and an obligation of Spirit-filled believers to come together in one place for a common purpose. So these and many other scriptures will tell you the importance of and the essentiality of gathering together and assembling as the church. So God, richest blessings upon your life today. We'll see you in the house of God very soon.